Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be sharing something about coming to Canada that I think everyone should know or be aware of if you're planning to come to live in Canada, whether it is to work, study, or maybe come as a visitor, who knows. So if you're interested in this, stay tuned for more. Okay, so this video is gonna be a little bittersweet. So that's just a disclaimer. Um, as you can see from the title below, this video is not geared towards bashing any agency or bashing anyone who is recruiting students to come to Canada. Just so you know, I'm speaking specifically to students in this video. So if you are coming here to work, it might some points might apply to you, some might not, but you can still listen for what I'm about to share. As some of you may know, Canada has been doing lots of changes as it relates to their immigration policy. This includes the intake of international students in Canada. So most recently, they did offer a 2-year ban on international students, and this came about because of several economical issues that Canada was facing that made its economy somewhat unstable and inefficient to, retain these students when they come here so they can live sustainable. So one of the main reasons for this is the housing crisis, which is of course happening in mostly bigger cities where persons are not being able to afford rent with a minimum wage, or basically they can't find a place to live. You have lots of people living on the streets. Also, with inflation going on, it's very hard to live on a whole, to buy groceries, to sustain yourself. So in this video, I'll be giving a little bit of background as to why I think most of this is affecting immigrants, and where I think are, or what I think is one of the fundamental reasons for this happening. And I think that is because before persons come here, there are some things that immigration consultants and travel agency aren't letting you know about moving to Canada. And it's really sad that this is happening because I came here and luckily the state of the economy was not as though it was now. So when I came, I didn't have to go through most of these that persons are going through. But it's interesting that when persons are painting a picture of coming to Canada, they only show the bright side, which is come to Canada, you can study and work, you can work and make money, help yourself. Come to Canada, it's the best place to be for a better life. No doubt that is totally correct. However, there is a flip side to that. How do you make a better life in Canada? It's not coming into a bed of roses. You have to somewhat make some sacrifices or take some big steps when you come here to achieve that. And I think that part of the picture is oftentimes overlooked. And that, as I said before, is a fundamental reason why when persons come here, now they're being faced with all of these housing crises, not being able to sustain themselves, to maintain their basic needs. So stay tuned for more and let's dive in. The first point I wanted to mention is when you come here as an international student, of course you know that you can study and work. Typically or legally, the allotted hours for you to work while you're studying is 20 hours per week. It was recently moved up to 25, I believe, just maybe a couple days back by our immigration minister. But before, when it was 20 hours, let's say that it's 25 hours now. You can work that amount of hours while you're studying, and when you're on break, of course, you can work full-time, overtime, and anytime that you want. But I'm speaking specifically for when you are studying. You're supposed to work 20 hours a week, right? And believe it or not, sometimes the employers that you are working for, they find it hard to give you that 20 hours, or they don't give you that 20 hours. So imagine making a sacrifice, a big move from your country to come to Canada, and you say that you already made your budget that when you come here, you might get a job in, like, let's say a month, and you already made your budget that I'm going to work 20 hours a week. This is the minimum wage there, and I'm going to be able to sustain myself for groceries, for my rent, for this and that. But when you come here, the job that you so happen to luckily get cannot give you that 20 hours. I can attest to that firsthand, but I'm so grateful and appreciative for my parents who, they were like my shining armor. I'm really, really appreciative for God who always was opening doors for me. But in the case of some persons who don't have this help, like adults who come here to study, to extend their career or their education, you don't get these 20 hours to work, and then you basically fall back on your monthly bills. You fall back on maintaining your basic needs. You basically, like, fall back on just living a sustainable life and just being able to live and experience life while you're doing this. So that's one of the cons of coming here. But whenever summer comes, it's always, I think that gives an opportunity for most persons, if not everyone, as long as you're not doing full time courses, to get a second job or a third job if you can manage, and then you can, like, utilize all the time that you have to work and basically save up all the money that you need for tuition next semester or whatever. But while you're studying, sometimes you don't get this 20 hours. Just a heads up, guys. The next point I wanted to share was I mentioned about not getting the 20 hours, but have you guys ever considered the time frame it would take for you to get a job when you come here? Believe it or not, persons do say that come to Canada, you can study and work, which is true. That is a fair statement. But how long does it take for you to start working? The reality of it is that no one will ever know how soon they will get a job. That's the reality of it. I mean, like, this probably cannot be controlled. Maybe you can find ways to control this if you want to start applying for jobs from back home before you come here. But the reality is that it's not certain when you're going to get a job. And I know persons personally who, when they come here for almost an entire semester, they're out of a job and they have to depend on that pocket money they brought from home to be sustaining themselves, to buy rent, groceries, to try and live a happy life. At the same time, you're juggling with schoolwork, which can also be stressful. And believe it or not, everyone should know that when you are encountering financial instability or financial depression, that adds to like a whole another level of depression. Okay, so it's really, really bad, and I do not by any means want to discourage anyone from coming here, but my recommendation for all of this is that if you can start applying for jobs back home, some jobs may have online interviews versus face-to-face interviews. You can try to take that route, or when you come here, try to apply for a job right away as you come here, right away as you get your SIN number. Try to apply for jobs. Do not wait on anything. Do not wait on time, because time waits on no man. Third point I wanted to share is working to send yourself to school can set you into a whole nother level of depression. Okay, so this might not apply to everyone who will need to come here, because of course people's financial profile is different. You might probably have your tuition for all of your years of studying. You might have sponsors. Someone's going to sponsor you for your program or help you to cover, those hefty expenses. But this is just something generally speaking. If you are planning on coming here to work and send yourself to school, meaning pay for your tuition as you work and basically pay for your other expenses, minor expenses or whatever, that can literally send you into depression. So my advice is that when you come here, please utilize the necessary resources that are available to you. For example, at Northern Lights College, they have the Keep Me Safe program, which is under the Guard Me insurance for international students. And that program is very, very good, very, very efficient, very good for students who are facing, like any form of emotional challenge with balancing their work life and their student life. And I used to be a Garmy campus ambassador, and I always recommend to students that utilize this program because it can help you with, let's say you are having problems submitting your assignments on time because of when you have to work and you're having problem with your time management, or let's say that a relative back home dies and you're over here working to send yourself to school, trying to make ends meet, and they basically just go under that level of depression and emotional instability. It can be hard, and I know that the level of tolerance to all of this is different per person, but this is just a general heads up that just prepare for these things and utilize these resources that are available to you because you need to take care of yourself first, okay? Studying to get your papers, to get your bachelor's, whatever your degree is very good, but ensure that you're taking care of yourself because without yourself, you basically can't achieve anything. The third point I wanted to share is winter depression is also real. I don't know, I just realized that I'm really talking about depression a lot, but this is not to scare anyone by any means, as I said, but I don't know. I think that word just comes in really handy for most of what I'm sharing. But winter depression is really real, and this applies, of course, mostly to persons who are coming from a tropical country. Like I came from Jamaica. If you're coming from India, if you're coming from the Philippines, somewhere where it's always bright, sunny, nice. If you're coming from Miami, Florida, and then you come into these harsh weather conditions, trust me, it can send you into depression literally. So let me give you a hint of how cold it can be. Where I am in Dawson Creek, British Columbia, it can go as negative. I heard it can go to negative 50. I've never experienced that, but I've experienced negative 45. So I know that it's very terrible, especially when you need to walk to your classes or walk to buy groceries or just walk to do any personal necessities that you need to do. It can really, really be demotivating, frustrating, and I don't know if I'm the only one who's like this, but when the weather is not as glowy and when it's gloomy, it really sets my mood off. So I think I kind of have a correlation with the weather versus and my mood. Some person might be like that, but yeah. When the weather is really bad, it also demotivates me from doing anything. Like if I need to go to the gym, I won't be going in the snow, okay? Another point I wanted to share with you guys is housing. So this is a very touchy and popular topic now in Canada. The housing rates, meaning that the rates for rent have definitely increased tremendously, especially in bigger cities where a one bedroom apartment is at least as 2,500 or 2,000. So it can be scary, but it also depends where you move in Canada. Canada has lots of provinces. It's a very big country. So it really depends where you move. But always consider that sometimes housing, wherever you go, can be affordable if you're living on a minimum wage budget, especially if you are a student who's living off campus and let's say you're studying actively and you only have that 25 hours a week that we're going to get now. Imagine when you had 20 hours a week and you need to basically pay for a rent of 2005. I don't even know if that is a whole month of pay because most places as students they only hire persons who are basically getting minimum wage. It depends where you're working, it depends on your qualifications. But I know that most places, if you're gonna work part time, it's gonna be a job which pays you not so much if it's gonna be part time. But housing can be unaffordable at times, and even when you do leave school and you're working full time, it can be hard to get an affordable housing to basically live in your means. So that's just another example. That's just another heads up for persons planning to come in here. So that's all I want to share for today. I'm sure that other international students or past international students might have more points to add, but I think I've shared enough. I don't want to scare anybody anymore. So that's all I wanted to share, and I think that this content really came to my mind. I think it's very timely now, especially with the pause on international students. And I think this would be able to give more clarity to persons as to why is this ban happening and how how would this ban help me if I was ever in the situation of being an international student. So just look at this situation as there is a ban for me to come and study here, but it might be like on the bright side of things, it might be a good sign for me to save up more so that when I come, I do not go under these financial stress and I'm able to sustain myself and I'm able to live without all these, emotional challenges that comes with living here. But don't get me wrong, Canada is a beautiful, beautiful place. It's a really, really good country and there are lots of opportunities for persons and I think that if you really, really put your mind to things here, you can come and make the best of it, right? So I don't want to scare anyone off from coming here, but I just think that it would be really good if persons who are recruiting individuals to come here would give them a heads up of the actual reality of living here. It's not always just coming into bed and bed and roses. So I really think that this video will be very efficient and informative for you, and I hope that you grasp something. So comment down below if you have any other interesting topic or concerns you want me to share or any of my experiences about living in Canada. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. Bye.